All right, so just when you thought you could breathe a sigh of relief for, of course, falling fuel prices, well, think again. A hike in tyre import duties means that you are in for another bumpy ride. Just last week, government had gazetted a 38.33% increase on anti-dumping duties, and the SA Tyre Manufacturers Conference applied for the increase, citing predatory import rates. Well, Charl de Villiers of the Tyre Importers Association of SA is here to speak to us about the deflating news that you and I obviously are not too happy about. Charl, thank you for your time and good morning to you. I mean, this is not the kind of news that we need to be hearing of at this moment. Just when we thought price with regards to fuel were going down, it seemed we might need to be chirping out more for tyres. I'm not talking just as a motorist, but if you're a taxi owner or driver, if you're in the logistics industry, you too will be impacted. Good morning.
Good morning, Tumela. Thanks for having me on your show. Yes, it's the last thing we actually want to hear is increase in tyre prices, and it's not a small percentage either. As you mentioned, it's a 38.33% on top of the already 25 to 30% we are really paying for imports.
Yeah. So when we divide it then into those categories I mentioned before, for motorists, for taxi drivers or even taxi owners, for the logistics industry, will they be paying almost a similar fee, or will it be a different percentage that affects them differently?
There's a slight variance between the different sectors. If I look at the taxi industry, they'll pay roughly about 23% more for their tyres. If I look at the trucking industry, we estimate around about 22%. And then the man on the street, the consumer, between 21 and 25% more for their tyres.
Yeah, but also let's talk about the knock-on effect, right, this has on food, on transport costs, etc. I mean, surely South Africans at this point, Charl, cannot afford this.
You're 100% correct. We're sitting with a 13-year high inflation at 7.9%, and it's just going to get worse. I mean, 80% of all goods are transported by road, whether it be, goods or people. And if I look at the trucking industry specifically, the local industry is not in a position to actually supply the demand of what is required in South Africa. So the local industry is currently supplying about 25% of local trucking needs, and the rest is imported. So this is going to hit the transporter very hard, and in turn that'll just push up inflation and the cost of goods on the shelves.
So what's your call then this morning, particularly as well to government? I mean, you mentioned quite an important point recently when you asked this question, that government knows that currently they are trying to assist South Africans with a social relief package. So they are aware. They know that consumers are currently cash-strapped. They cannot afford, much. So what's your call then as your association, as your organization?
Well, we've asked government to actually reverse the decision. We don't think it's going to be that easy. We are meeting as an association later today to weigh up the options and to look at what we can do to assist the consumer. So we've tried to contact Minister Patel and his office to try and set up meetings to just give him a clearer picture of what the knock-on effect's going to be. We haven't had the opportunity to meet with him, unfortunately.
Yes, I understand they haven't responded yet to you. But I mean, obviously we don't have government here to speak for itself, but I understand that their stance, or rationale rather, for this imposition of duties is to help protect local manufacturers. Do you understand their point of view, or where they're coming from and their perspective?
Yes, we do. I mean, we believe every job matters out there. Now, if I look at my members and the importers, their share of the market, we supply roughly 55% of tyres that were sold last year, 2021. The local manufacturers supplied 45%. And we need to remember their 45% includes their imports. So if I had to strip out what was imported in total, it was about 68% versus 32% locally manufactured. So the value chain of 19,000 people don't only rely on the local manufacturers, they rely on importers like ourselves. So, therefore we say, every job matters out there. And if you're going to tax the importer to death, your value chain is going to suffer. Yeah. And we're trying to protect that as well.
Yeah, and by that you also mean that these additional duties will push many of the companies out of business, right? And also some jobs being destroyed there. Obviously, the financial burden that we've also just discussed now.
That's correct, yes. We feel we worry that the smaller tyre dealer that don't have access to the bigger companies or accounts with them, that rely 100% on importers, where are they going to go? I mean, their jobs are at real risk. So hopefully we'll be successful in our application to have it overturned in the next 6 months, or hopefully sooner, but we'll have to weigh up all our options.
All right, Charl, well, I appreciate you, of course, speaking to me about this morning. Charl de Villiers of the Tyre Importers Association of South Africa, talking to us about the call they've made to government, obviously, to reverse the decision on applying these duties more on tyres. It will affect you and I, particularly if you're a motorist, if you're a taxi operator, if you're also in the logistics industry, and that has then a knock-on effect, on the transportation of goods, on food.